This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
This is your Operation Royal Flush leader fan radio network.
Sorry, KFAN.
And KFAN.com. 1 minute and 52 seconds. No, actually 2 minutes and 2 seconds past the hour, 3 o'clock Central Daylight Time. Welcome back. It is a Thursday production, a very truncated edition of the Bumper to Bumper program between now and 5 o'clock this evening. Guardsy produces. My name's Dan Barreiro, Inkstein Wretch, newspaper of the Twin Cities back in the day. We're delighted you were along for what originally was going to be a pregame to the pregame. There will be an element of that for sure. But duty calls, and when news breaks, we try to react to it. And so today, with the National Basketball Association in the meat grinder, at least in terms of accusations, it will be a fair portion of today's broadcast as well. Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line is open at 64686. And by now, I'm assuming most of you know the particulars regarding, well, I guess you could say, Hall of Fame basketball player and now coach who the Wolves just knocked off last night, right? Chauncey Billups.
Think about it. His last moment in the NBA might be Ant-Man daggering his squad.
Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier and a more forgettable player named Damon Jones, all in the meat grinder for various reasons. We are, 2 days into the National Basketball Association season. And the morning after, some pretty impressive performances collectively and individually on the part, certainly, of Anthony Edwards in Portland. Where was the San Antonio Davey Dallas game? That was in Dallas, was it not? Wembanyama
pretty good.
Absurd. Was it 40 points in 30 minutes? Double check his box. I think that was the most impressive part for me. He got to 40, but I think he only played like 29 or 30 minutes. And other interesting performances over the course of the first two nights from an individual or team perspective, and ain't nobody talking about any of it in the wake of the press conference this morning, in which, as I mentioned, Billups, Rozier, and Damon Jones are all indicted. And, of course, perhaps just as notably, the alleged participation in both of these scandals of 4 reputed mafia crime families in New York. Your guy, Kash Patel, the FBI director, showed up for the presser. This was at a federal courthouse in Brooklyn, New York, to, I guess, add to the seriousness of the accusations here. Billups indicted for his alleged participation in what is described as a wide-ranging, years-long scheme to defraud card players in high-stakes poker games. Operation Royal Flush. That's what that refers to. And that scheme, or those schemes in which allegedly card players showed up not knowing that the games were rigged, also involved members of the Bonanno, the Gambino, the Lucchese, and the Genovese crime families. Is that the big 4? I don't know the pecking order in New York regarding crime families. Are those the big 4, or are we forgetting one or two?
I think there's a few others, but those are pretty legitimate names there.
Rozier is 31. He's charged with taking himself out of a game in 2023. So a co-conspirator could place a bet and win. You'll recall there is a connection to not a well-known player. His brother's much better known, but former Toronto Raptors player Jonte Porter. He received a lifetime ban from basketball. In his investigation, ultimately he pleaded guilty for betting on NBA games and manipulating his own performance in a series so others could win a series of prop bets. Bets were reminded that Porter pleaded guilty until July 2024 to one felony count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Billups on leave. Rozier on leave by the NBA. No particular surprises there at all. Jones, you may know less about. He's charged in both cases. That's his claim to fame right now.
Right.
He's connected to allegations on Operation Royal Flush. And did they come up with a pithy name for the NBA insider trading scandal? They've got Operation Royal Flush for the card part. Was there a name?
Was. Yeah, I don't remember what it was,
So and by the way, totally, in the two indictments, there's 34 defendants, 13 men accused of being involved in organized crime. Jonesy, a former teammate of LeBron with the Miami Heat. James brought Jones to Cleveland in 2014 as his personal shooting coach at first. He eventually becomes an assistant coach with the Cavaliers, joined LeBron in L.A., and apparently was still around the team even when he wasn't formally employed, which meant he was allowed to fly to away games on the team plane. So according to the indictment, Jones was described as a teammate or coach of a prominent NBA player who it called Player 3. That's supposed to be LeBron James.
Okay.
That in the indictment says Jones used his relationship with that player and the team to gain information that he then sold to professional gamblers. Jones found out on the morning of Feb 9, 2023, that Player 3, presumably LeBron, would not play in a Lakers game against the Bucks that night, told an unnamed co-conspirator to place a big bet on the Bucks because he was out. And Player 3, you'll recall, had not been named in the team's injury report at that point, but indeed would miss the ball game. I want to give you, between now and our 3:30 guest, Sean Salisbury, a number of nuggets that I've found most interesting regarding this bombshell of a morning for the National Basketball Association. We'll get the obvious particulars out of the way regarding innocent till proven guilty. I have a lot of questions about certain aspects of these allegations that I think should be fair game and should be part of the discussion. But if the more people are reading from the indictments, the more specific and more detailed these charges are revealed, and it makes it appear as if there's a lot of, if this is all smoke, it's hard, it'll be surprising. It seems as if there's some substance to this as well.
Yep.
March 23rd, 2023, Rozier is playing for the Hornets, and he apparently lets it known to people around him that he's going to leave the game early with an injury. And on that occasion, and this was the red flag, associates bet more than $200,000 on Rozier's unders. And winnings were then delivered, according to the indictment, to Rozier's home. I mentioned Damon Jones regarding the LeBron James stuff. Feb 9, 2023 game is the specific game involved here, according to the indictments, that was a game James did not play in, ruled out due to ankle soreness. And that game came 2 days after James passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to become the NBA's all-time leading scorer. Back to Jones. He sold or tried to profit from non-public information so that others could bet on it, including two defendants, Ernest and Fairley. And I mentioned that was regarding the LeBron situation, which Jones allegedly texts an unnamed co-conspirator that a player was out and that they should indeed bet on the Bucks. 13 members of the Bonanno, Gambino, and Genovese crime families are involved among the what I think we named 4 crime families total involved in this whole deal. The indictment said one unnamed co-conspirator told a co-defendant, Eric Ernest, that the Blazers were tanking ahead of a March 24, 2023 game and that a certain player would sit out. Ernest then shared that information with Marvez Fairley, who shared it further and bet on it. Fairley and somebody named Shane Hennon bet about $100,000 on that Blazers game, the DOJ, I should say, alleges. More on the Terry Rozier part of this regarding that March 23 Hornets game in the year 2023. He tells a co-defendant named De Niro Laster, I'm going to take myself out in the first quarter of that game so that Laster could then bet on it. Laster shares that info. He gets paid $100,000 for it by this before, I mentioned it before, Marvez Fairley, according to the indictment. That information then gets shared with others who also bet on it. I mentioned Shane Hennon. He bet $61,000 on prop bets on Rozier's unders and then ordered a syndicate of associates to bet too, the indictment said. In all, $259,000 waged on Rozier by that group. And for the record, Rozier left that game after playing exactly 9 minutes and 34 seconds, and he indeed did not return. Now, here's a nugget that interested me, and I don't know if you've seen this anywhere. This is via, I've been reading heavily from The Athletic. The Athletic's got a really good series of threads trying to sort of distill what is out there right now. This came, though, via the ESPN.com story. Though Billups is not named in the sports betting indictment, the description of a co-conspirator who allegedly told a bettor that a number of Trailblazers players would miss that March 2023 game had a playing and coaching career that matches Billups. Had you seen that before?
No.
That was new to me. Now, the reporters on this story are all pretty good. I thought that was kind of interesting. And I had a question. We may get a little help either on or off the record later in the show, but one of my questions was, can we assume that the feds believe, and I have not read the entire indictment, that when it comes to the card-playing games, where, as I understand it, Billups is invited. They do the old, well, big names attract interest, and we can get other people to play.
Exactly. We
give you a chunk of money. You just show up and play, right? But the allegation is, of course, that the fix is in on who's going to win and who's going to lose, and that the saps who are brought along by a Chauncey Billups have no idea that they have no chance to win, correct? So do we know that part of the allegation in Billups' case is that he had knowledge that indeed these games were rigged? Because I'm wondering, well, does he come back with, well, you know, these things happen. You get invited. I got a big name. I show up. I have no idea that the game is rigged. So I don't know if that's discussed in any of the indictments, but that's going to be one of the questions that interests me the most. Now, I was told by a pretty good source that it's likely that that's what the feds, if they're going to bring these kinds of allegations forward,
yes,
on a federal level, that they would believe they believe they have evidence to suggest that he was well aware that these games were not on the up and up. Because I've heard a couple of people early today, before some of these details came out, let me tell you something. I mean, I get it on integrity of the game. For insider trading, that's the most damaging thing to any league at any point. That's why once upon a time, the leagues and betting services, the leagues wanted nothing to do with any of them, right? That was the whole idea. But that if it's, okay, Billups is playing some high-scale poker, and maybe nobody who wins ends up obviously reporting what they made. Not great, but is that really on the same level? If it's as simple as that, I would tend to agree with that sentiment, which is I'm not sure the average Rube cares all that much. But this is a whole new element to it. If the element is, well, no, he was involved in a scheme,
yes,
in which others were defrauded.
A lot of money,
and he knew it. That puts it on another whole level, and at that point, it becomes, I think, much more serious than, oh, come on, how many of these guys with a lot of money play high-stakes poker games, and no one ever knows who won what?
They talk about them, they play them on the planes,
exactly,
they play in hotels, yeah. It's all of that.
And there's the mob part of this as well that is part of what Billups will have to explain. Bonus bucks?
Speaking of money,
yeah.
The Fan and Two Men and a Junk Truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks. It is our national cash contest. First keyword is cash. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword cash.
We expect Sean Salisbury at the bottom of the hour, and he will help us preview Vikings-Chargers, which will begin tonight with the pregame show on the Fan at 5. Peter Bursich will file a live report from Southern California, presumably a stadium, right, by then.
From the booth.
From the booth. That's 4:30 today, and Picks with Gerby is scheduled for 4:02 this afternoon. U.S. Attorney Joseph Nocella Jr. calling the charges against Rozier and Jones, one of the most brazen sports corruption schemes since online sports betting became widely legalized in the United States. The scheme is an insider sports betting conspiracy that exploited confidential info about NBA Association, National Basketball Association athletes and teams. I mentioned that the NBA has offered the requisite. We're taking this very seriously. Blah, blah, and blah. Rozier was taken into custody in Orlando. The Heat had played there Wednesday night, and I believe he's supposed to be in court, in federal court today. I don't know if he has been yet, but that was the original scheduling. Billups was arrested on Thursday after coaching the Blazers last night to the Wolves come from behind victory in that game. I think it was in the middle of the night. In his case, that they came to his house, and he's expected to also appear at a hearing. I'm looking at sort of the list of. This is actually from the indictment list of games that are involved here. And what is interesting is I mentioned that March 23, 2023 game, Hornets game. That's the one where allegedly Rozier, actively playing at that point for the Hornets, tips off his buddy, and we're trying to get a little bit more information on the buddy, that I'm going to leave the game early because of an injury, and that gets the ball rolling. And then it was the next night, March 24, 2023. So the next night, insider information from a longtime friend, an NBA coach at the time, that several of the Blazers' top players would set out a game against the Bulls in full tank mode, right? So it was on consecutive nights that some of these same individuals who are also a part of this indictment had used that information to gain huge opportunity to make lots of money, including wagering over $100,000 against the Blazers. Then there's that Orlando Magic game, April 6th. So now this is just, another within 2 weeks of the first two back-to-back nights where this is going on. A tip obtained through an inside connection to a then Orlando Magic player. A co-conspirator leveraged a relationship with the Magic player to learn that several of the team's top players would sit out a game against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Also information that had not been made public, and Fairley and the co-conspirator pocketed a bunch of winnings there. Those are some of the big ones. We talked about the Laker games where LeBron did not play. And then the Jonte Porter deal, a guy who's already pleaded guilty. And this is sort of where the case started, right? Then an NBA player with the Toronto Raptors, he informs a co-conspirator and others that he would prematurely exit that game, that he was scheduled to play on Jan 26, 2024, and then in March of 2024 because of injuries, so that they could place bets. Once again, prop bets, usually. That's the way this thing goes.
Yep.
And that's sort of where we are with them. You know, we've talked about this before, and it was always going to be easier, whether it's fair or not, to dismiss it if it's a fringe player, right? It's not good, but if the most famous player involved is Jonte Porter, then the league does not have that much of a stain on it, quite frankly. Whether it should or not, that's just sort of the way it works. But as the names get bigger, and obviously this is in the case of Rozier, a bigger name. Again, not a superstar name, but a much bigger name. It becomes more problematic. Here's also where it's interesting to me. As far as I know, the league had said, we've investigated the Rozier charges, right? Or possibility of what he was involved in.
Right.
And I believe, I don't want to say they cleared him, but I think they came to the conclusion that they didn't have enough evidence
right.
to render any kind of a judgment against him or punish him, correct?
That's what his attorneys are essentially saying. They're saying he was interviewed as a subject, I think, not as a defendant. Like they were when we've been cooperating with these guys, is what they've said, and they took the pho op. So he's going to try to fight this thing, obviously.
No doubt. And does that mean the feds have more information? They obviously have more power. There's a better chance they're going to be able to muscle people who we don't even know about who are going to plead out to save their own hides as much as they can with information that the NBA never got a hold of. That's going to be another one of the open questions here moving forward. But we all know, I mean, the bigger the names, the harder this gets to sort of say, come on, these things happen every once in a while.
Right.
No big deal. And that's where we're at. And this has always been the fear that the closer the leagues got to betting services, they went from literally we're allergic to them to we want basically to have them in our arenas if we can legally to do it. Come on in, whatever you want to do. How can we make it easier for you? And this was always the danger of going as far as they have. Now, maybe it wouldn't have mattered. You could say maybe it wouldn't have made any difference. And I don't buy, by the way, the comeback of, what are you talking about? I mean, Rozier made a lot of money. How much? I don't think that's generally very persuasive to me. People are weird about money, man.
Yes,
if they can
gambling.
And gambling. And if they can find other ways to supplement, or here, I get another 30,000 here, 20,000 there, who knows? There's no telling. The notion that because you're a millionaire, you're less likely to want to take the risks that's involved here, I just think we have too many examples outside of the world of sports and in the world of sports where it's proven over and over again. Free money? Yeah, you know what? This is is solid. I'll take my chances with this thing. So that doesn't mean he's guilty, but it means I'm not sure I buy the thing that this just doesn't add up because these guys make too much money in the first place.
Well, and you're taking care of your friends.
Exactly.
You're taking care of
and maybe
people.
some of those friends are compromised.
For
too,
sure.
Where you say, hey, man, I'm down 80,000. They go, I don't want to give them my 80,000, but if I can get the 80,000 here, you take it.
Here's a way I can do it.
Exactly.
I'm actually most fascinated in the poker stuff. Because if you watch the press conference, I watched it today, and they were talking about the mechanisms that they use in these poker games to cheat these guys.
Remarkable.
It's scary.
You know what it's out of?
A movie.
It's out of what were the Vegas movies?
Ocean's 11.
Ocean's 13.
Yeah, I know.
This was literally, some of this stuff is out of Ocean's 13.
You're right. It's the shuffling mechanisms. It's the X-ray tables where you can see the cards. It's the signals on the cards with different
lenses,
contacts.
Weren't there? Yes.
It's crazy.
It's insane.
It's crazy.
You want to talk about if this ends up standing, the test of time, you want to talk about the documentaries on this? There will be quite a few done. All right, let's break. We're a little behind already. We'll come back and chat football. And maybe a little bit on this story with Sean Salisbury as well, because Salisbury has become a generalist as well. But lots on Vikings Chargers when we return. Questions for Sean Salisbury, hit the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line 64686. That is 64686. Sean joining us via the Connecticut Water Systems hotline. We start apparently with some congratulations to you. First grandchild, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. That's hopefully first of many, but then you can always give them back. Okay?
That's it.
So, yeah, man, at the time, we're blessed beyond belief, my man, and healthy, happy, and I got a son now that just got married, as we talked about. I've been away, and then my other daughter is engaged.
Nice.
And my oldest boy's running restaurants and kicking butt, working too much. So life's good, my man, and enjoy coming on with you. But yeah, I'm proud and happy, and everybody's healthy, and nothing quite like it.
Are they all over the place? Refresh my memory on where they.
I've got a real estate mogul in Austin, and a good place to get it.
Sure.
It's tough times in real estate. He's a grinder. I got a son who's a business partner, managing partner, and chef in Austin as well. And they're about to open their 5th restaurant. This is a phenomenal steakhouse. And then stepdaughter here, and then another daughter that is in New York. She was in Austin as well, and she's in the design business, and as well as she is a world-class photographer, and she's a musician. So she's a phenomenal singer and guitar player and piano player. So she's a little bit of everything, and she's engaged. So, yeah, all over the place. Well, most of them in Texas, but for the most part, my daughter, when she's in, I like to have them close, but it's okay because she's got that arts and she's changing the world, so life's good.
Yeah, it sounds like they're all doing well. So congratulations.
Yeah, I'm blessed. All better than their old man, so that's a good thing. So that's good.
Hey, let me ask you one before we get to the ball game tonight. I want to get your view on the big indictments that were announced this morning that obviously put the NBA in a very compromised light. There's two different ones, obviously. One having to do with the fraud poker games, and the other having to do with insider trading and injury information. The assumption, what we're hearing again, and we're going to hear it, as you know, a lot more in the next few days, is told you so. As the decision was made for sports, professional sports, to instead of running from gambling to embracing it to the degree that they now have, where everybody's in it together, that it's inevitable that it's going to be more likely that these sorts of scandals are going to be revealed. Do you think that link is fair? Do you think it's just as likely this could have happened anyway? Or do you think this is the degree to which, sports leagues have gotten in bed with various gambling agencies has made it inevitable or more likely that these sorts of stories are just, the tip of the iceberg?
Dan, there's so many, as you know, I'm sure going through your show as I did on my national show today. The layers and the branches to this are, I think, numerous, needless to say. This has been going on a long time. I'm not shocked. I don't think now people are talking about it was a gateway drug, basically, right, Dan? You smoke joints and you do cocaine, and then that's kind of how they did it. But this ain't the first time. We could take it back a long time.
Yep.
I think we're more aware of it, and the hypocrisy with sports leagues is insufferable. Now, I like to bet on a game now, and with all the stuff from Pete Rose on down, and even before Pete.
Yep.
But are we just paying more? It's like we have more cameras on games. Are we paying more attention? We have social media. Do we pay more attention to the videos people post, or have we been cheap shots or arguments on the sidelines? Whatever it is. Now, this is big, but are we just paying more attention to it? Do we turn the other cheek because it wasn't? Do I think it's a gateway to bigger problems? Sure. Do I think that if a guy bets on football and he's a baseball player, does it open him up to think, maybe I can get away with this, or we've been getting away with it for a while and we're just paying more attention? I wish I know I don't know. The hypocrisy reeks because, yes, they're going to make billions off and then turn around and suspend Ridley for a year because he's betting on a fantasy football for $60.
Right.
I understand the hypocrisy, but, this is real. And this isn't just in this situation, as we know. This is, I think, the problem that makes it even more heightened. Not makes it, but that people are like, is, bets on the side, golf bets, back to the Michael Jordan time, the speculation about that. We've seen this forever, and how you handle it. But I think we're more irritated if you're fans, and because people bet. Believe me, there's an epidemic of it, or there's
no doubt.
The biggest sports betting degenerates in the world are on college campuses across this country. I promise you. It may not be the size of the money,
right,
but the number of gamblers, it is bigger than any place I've been, and I've been around it. But, when I was playing, it never came up. Nobody talked about it, yet you were always warned by NFL security to be aware. So I think there's more attention paid to it like anything else. But, we're not talking, seeing, people talk, we're not talking about you betting your buddies at a $100 poker game, or playing cards on the plane trip home. We're talking, people get whacked for this.
Yes.
We're talking about premeditated. I'm talking about both. We're talking about a guy, and now it's going to make us, and now it opens up other sports leagues are going to say, eyes are going to come to us if they already haven't, which they have with Class A and baseball and all the other stuff. Now, open up the eyes. Think about this. I've always hated load management. Every time now a guy sits out because he's got a little bit of a hammy or a cold, what are we thinking, Dan?
Exactly.
Okay, we're now follow the money trail. They're going to take billions, and then a guy bets, and we're going to make it more serious. And it's not stopping here. It's not stopping at 31, and you and I both know it. I don't know the names, but I assure you it's not stopping, not only in basketball or in these sports leagues. Now, do they protect bigger stars? I don't know if it is bigger stars. But I know this. 2 things you should never do. Or 3, you can have the cartel. When an FBI guy with a blue jacket and yellow lettering on it shows up at your house or they're involved, you're in major trouble. Secondly, when the last name Lucchese and Bonanno and Gambino and who am I leaving out?
Genovese
family. When they're involved, this ain't just the Irishman or a Godfather show.
No.
This is real. Yeah. And this is, you didn't pay your bet. This is principle now. It doesn't matter if it's 5,000 or 5 million. Now families and head on a swivel. And this is premeditated by Billups and the rest of them for different reasons. But can you imagine telling people that whether it's the arrogance, the ego, the chase, the adrenaline, making $150 million in your career, telling the teammates, about 9 minutes, I'm going out, that you're counting on the under, and then they deliver the money to your house while FBI's watching, and you're counting it in your own. Think about the levels to this. This just isn't your buddies at a friendly game. We're talking stuff. Guys get killed for this stuff.
Yep.
So I don't know, Dan, and I know there's so many you want to hit on all of them, but do I think that it was a gateway drug to bigger stuff? Sure. Do I think that's the only reason? Absolutely not. But we criticize the steroid era and Bud Selig, and Adam Silver, he's attached to this. Whether he's involved or do anything about it, he is attached to it. And how big it gets, we're going to find out. But do I think it's going to make it where we say, yep, this is what you get when you invite it in? But if you didn't invite it in, people are still doing it illegally with bookies in every town and every college on the planet. And more players and coaches are probably involved in people deciding games than we think. The problem now is we know 4 big mafia families were involved in this. And now the collateral damage becomes danger and then stuff where you got to go on witness protection if you're sitting out of jail or prison. It's a scary situation and a really damaging one.
Very well stated. I have one other question for you that you can speak to better than either one of us and our listeners. Because one of the comebacks I always hear is at a time like this is, man, these guys, why would they mess with this kind of money with the risk? They're making tens of millions of dollars. Some of them got, $100 million they've made over the course of their career. And I've said, I think that's irrelevant. I don't think that's usually a really effective defense. Whatever, like you say it is, it's the thrill. It's I want to help out a couple of buddies. But when it comes to money, Sean, my feeling is it doesn't matter how much you make. In the case of many individuals, it doesn't inoculate them from the idea of I can make a little bit more money here and I can get this way. I'm going to go ahead and do it. Can you speak to that being in the field? Where there's a lot of money.
Yeah, adrenaline junkies too, Dan.
Yep.
You're 100% correct. Listen, now there are some who, like we all have done it. You sit at a blackjack table and you lost 100, smaller than that, but legally, sitting at a blackjack table. You lost 100 and you say, well, I'm going to chase it. And so you bet double and you double down and you split and all of a sudden you're 300 down. So you chase it and then, damn, you leave Vegas with a $1,000 loss. And it's like, what a bummer, but it's already taken. Now, so there is some of that desperation. People just don't have it trying to get a quick fix. But in this case, with this kind of money that changes hands and the people we're discussing and making 150 or you're making 5, 10, 20 million a year. Now, there are some. What happens is people that have earned money, a lot of it, we automatically assume that they were smart with it. There's more that were with it than were smart with it. I'm just telling you, the ones I've been around. Make 10, they think, oh, what if they spent it, and they say, you have to pay federal taxes on that, right? Or if they're a 1099 right. Or what have you, right? Yep. Where it's not taken out by their team. Point is some don't have it, but you are exactly, let's say they do. You say, why would they do, it's adrenaline, man.
Yep.
It's ego. Why does a guy with a 10 wife cheat on her? And then why does he cheat on somebody and maybe it's a 5? Or why does a woman cheat on a man? Is it because they're in love with the other, or they love the chase? They love the adrenaline. Why do junkies that ride fast cars get 15 tickets and are willing to get a 16th? I don't know. I know that in certain, I'm an adrenaline junkie, not that way, but in certain things like we love the challenge, the chase, and we have people. I say, well, when's enough? Guys are going through contract negotiations. What's the difference between 500 million and 50 million? 50 or 500 and 550 million? 50 million. That's the way a lot of athletes are. What made them great is their selfish, their attention to grinding it out more, getting better, training harder. The same thing that uplifts them sometimes buries them. Ego, pride. It's not enough. I want more. My buddies are involved. Ooh, I won 4 in a row. I'm a better gambler than the guy who says he's a gambler. But it is the adrenaline, and I'm with you. A lot of the time it has zero to do with what's in their bank account and everything to do with the adrenaline or the the chase of the win. And when they get to the win, they're looking for the next big one. Drug dealers do it. You say, how? Stories count. How? Why would this? I say it today. Why risk this? Well, there's the answer. It's the adrenaline and the feeling of, I got to find the euphoria. I got to find something. Just think of your drugs, whatever that addiction adrenaline is, it's not a good thing. And sometimes the ego and pride to say, you know what are you going to do? Do you know who I am? I've heard that hits too. And you know what? I can tell you what they're going to do. They got blue and yellow writing on their jackets, and you're dealing with families that wear suits and ties and have dry cleaning businesses. And when you go into their business, you ain't ever getting out. That's the problem. So this is huge, and it only gets bigger. So I think there's a lot of layers to that, but I'm with you 100%. I don't think it matters about the ATM machine and what they can get out of it. I think it comes down to how they want it, because some of them may spend it on their way out the door anyway. They love the rush, and that may be the case here as well.
All right, let's get to some football. How beatable are the L.A. Chargers?
Very. This league is whacked out. A month ago, the Chiefs were left for dead. Now the Chiefs are the best team in the NFL, according to many in Vegas. Best odds to win it, and they are playing like it in the AFC. A month ago, 3 weeks ago, man, what's wrong with Jalen Hurts? Well, your Vikings found out. Come out in the second half, hit a big play when you're coming out, 5 field goals by the Vikings later, and a couple turnovers and missed opportunities. Jalen Hurts is now a big-time player. The Chargers were running it, healthy offensive line. Man, Herbert's playing at a high level. They're going to challenge the Chiefs. Well, backfield banged up, offensive line banged up. What are they going to do at the deadline? Herbert's getting questioned. Is he just a numbers guy? Why can't they win the big one? And now they're reeling. So, yeah, they're beatable. They will get after you. They're well coached. Both coordinators and their head coach, they are well coached. But you can beat them, especially if you get at them early and make them chase, and they get into what they don't want to get into, and that's a passing fancy. Harbaugh does not want to do it. And right now, the chance to win offensively is they have to. They're not pushing the move in the line of scrimmage enough, so they are. And with some players on your team, notwithstanding a couple coverage breakdowns last week, but they didn't run the ball very well. Philadelphia didn't. So they're beatable, and you just got to guard on the road against Hawks because they're primed for a big game. I know they hung in there, and Herbert had a big game. It could be one of those, if you don't, where both quarterbacks are throwing it 45 times and you get in a passing fancy the whole way, which would probably favor the Vikings because of, now Herbert may be a little bit better player, and I'm a bit facetious, he is right now, but I think the Vikings overall may be a better team right now, although both are reeling in certain areas. And yes, the Chargers are beatable. I think they're better than their record, but you are who they say you are, and you are what your record tells you. It's a team that's reeling that's going to have to do something at the trade deadline as well if they want to keep up, but they're just as capable of winning 4 or 5 in a row because the quarterback's dynamic, but a lot of their yards, a lot of the plays are coming on when it's some garbage time. They're catching up. They're not playing the type of football we thought they were, who they were at the beginning of the year.
So did Carson Wentz play erratically enough last week that it's automatic, almost no matter how he plays this evening in Los Angeles, that when the Vikings come back off of a semi-bye, a 10-day layoff, to go to Detroit to take on the Lions in early November, that J.J. McCarthy should be and must be the starting quarterback?
I think it's a no-brainer simply because of the commitment we have talked about, Dan, about when he was we cleaned out house for him to start. When he's healthy, he's playing. Do I think that if Wentz goes for 403 touchdowns and they win, by the time 10 days rolls around, and if McCarthy's 100% healthy, will they run him out there? I do. Now, whether we think it's right or not is another thing, but I do think they will. And you and I kind of a brief exchange on Twitter during the last game. He does enough, and like in times when he got to come back, he's making enough throws to tease you. He is. I mean, look at the numbers. He keeps making enough complete and just enough to keep you going, but then crushes you with the pick. And then he'll play in London or wherever, and then throw the great touchdown and say, damn. And then he'll put you say, he looks good. And he'll hang in and bring you from behind. And then he'll miss a check down that has 20 yards of running room. Then he'll hold the ball in the red zone and take a sack for a 7-8 yard loss and put you in a longer one instead of a shorter where you can run it instead of have to throw it. And then you got to settle for 5 field goals. So I think he's done enough to warrant another start if McCarthy's not healthy. And I told you, he looks more confident as a player, but he lapses into the reason why you can't make a full commitment to him. Just when you say, okay, man, is he making it tough on the Viking staff? You'll see a pick. Is he making it tough? Dude, you can't hold the ball. Check it down. Yeah. So doing enough to tease you, but not doing enough to say when McCarthy's healthy, considering the commitment they made to him, they're not going to put him back in. My guess is no matter what happens tonight, if JJ's as close to 100% as he can, you'll see him start in 10 days because they will treat the extra reps like a bye week.
Judging injuries is a really dangerous business, and it's a road I try not to go down because no two injuries are exactly alike. There is a part of me, though, that is curious about this one. This is, I think, day 38 since he got hurt. And they're still saying, I guess KOC said, well, if we had a full week, maybe there's a different starter on Sunday. But they're still saying that he's not full. They're still saying that he's at best the emergency starter, right? He's not even the backup for this game. And sometimes I do wonder whether they're being is there such a thing as being too cautious with him, or as a guy who used to play, are your eyebrows raised at all, or do you say no on high ankle sprains, man? There's no rule. There's a lot of sometimes it takes this much time or more.
I've played with one in college. We were getting ready. We had a bye week, and I needed 2 weeks. It was a high ankle sprain against Stanford. Taped it up, did it all, put it nice, did it all, and it was painful, but it was. And it's different these days, Dan, the money and the rest of it.
Yeah, right.
And as a guy, and I was the starter at FC, so I was that guy at that time, but it's different. And it was hurt, and it was pretty severe enough to miss a lot of practice, but I needed the 2 weeks. But I think each guy, pain threshold has a lot to do with it. I don't mean to put it on baseball, but I remember last year, Kyle Tucker, Dan, they said, he fouled the ball off his shin and it was a bone bruise. For 70 days, I heard it was a bone bruise. And I kept saying, that ain't a bone bruise, that's fracture. And all of a sudden, with about 70 days in, he ended up, or 60 days in, it's a fracture. Well, I do think a lot of it has to do with the guy, whoever that is in JJ's case. It is a pain threshold part of it. And if he was going to be ready in 2 days, like you said, if we had they played on Sunday, then, and just 2 days is the difference.
What's the distinction? Yeah.
Emergency and can't play or can play.
Yeah.
And so I don't know that answer because I'm not there, but I do know that high ankle sprains, kind of like plantar fasciitis, although at a different part of the lower half, we're saying, come on, a heel bruise, plantar fasciitis, and 2 months later, the guy's not playing. And I've had that too, and it's painful. So I think it's pain threshold. And I also think that if Carson Wentz was urinating down his leg, I think he'd play.
Right.
And it comes down to, because you got to play hurt in this league.
Yep.
You just don't play injured. And I get this hunch he's hurt, but they just want to make sure he's closer to 100%. Because as a second-year guy that's basically playing as a rookie, you're still swimming in the mental side of it anyway. So they want to get it close. But it can fluctuate. It's not the same for everybody, and it can fluctuate a month or 2 months. But there comes a point in time, if it's just pain threshold, sometimes you got to shoot it, suck it up, and go play. So I would imagine if it was a Super Bowl and they wanted him, or a playoff game or single elimination, he would be playing tonight.
I'm a broken record on this issue, but I'm stubborn about it. All the indications are that the Chargers are a team that you can run on. All of the discussion and the pronouncements in the offseason, again from KOC, I've got to call a different game, in part because I've got a different quarterback, in part because we have to be less finessey than we've been in the past. Vikings are still on average running the ball less this year than last year. When I still didn't think they ran it at key times. They had 7 red zone plays in which every time a pass was either called or the QB changed it to a pass at the line of scrimmage. I don't get it, man. If you're compromised, especially at the quarterback position, by playing a backup, or you got a kid who's just trying to learn on the job, isn't your job as a head coach to attempt to help him out? And the Vikings have, even with Jones out, they have a runner who I think is willing to accept the responsibility and do something with it. I just don't get it.
All right, and you're talking to a quarterback about this, and I am on your page and in your church pew 100%. I don't get it at any time. I'm going to, once again, I would, like you said, I'm dying on that hill and this one. Go check, just do some research over the last 3 weeks, and not you, anybody that's listening, and go check in every game you watch, and I'll bet you 80% of them, I know I do it every week. I didn't do it this last week, but I would usually do it before the next Sunday game. I'll bet you that 80% of the teams that won last week, sans a few, ran the ball attempt-wise, not yards, attempt-wise, more than the team that they beat. Mm-hmm. And they'll say, well, that just goes with winning. No, it actually doesn't. People use the pass as an extension of the screen, of the run game, the short passing game, the screen. Here's what I'm going to tell you. And I know your affinity and mine. I love Kevin. I do. But you can't keep talking it and saying we got to do it to call it different. You either got it in your DNA or you don't. Kyle Shanahan's running it no matter what.
Exactly.
No matter what. He's running it. Denny would tell Brent, give me your best run. We're running it regardless. Now, you're down 4 touchdowns one of those days. 4 of your running backs are hurt. Your tight end's your running back. I get it. But if you want to protect him and teams that throw it 45, 50 times, you're not winning most of the time. Number 12 in New England, they'll play around the league for every team. They're just not that fortunate. You've got to be able to run it. And it's not just running. You got to commit to it. And you can't get out of it with 2, 3 and outs because your offense was embarrassed. And it does nothing but help the guys late in the game. So if you want to stop being finesse, you got to call non-finesse plays. You got to throw it. You got when necessary, but you got to beat them down, and you got to impose your will, short of running against a 10-man box. Then it's man coverage or one-on-one. Go do your thing. But the truth is, I'm with you. I look at it and I say, what are we doing here? What you can spread it out and still run it, but what are we doing here? And you can't keep telling us what you want to do when you're the guy that's got the play sheet in your hand. It's DNA, and I'm not sure some defensive, offensive coordinators or play callers at times can get out of their own way because, like most, we all lean on the crutch. A quarterback leans on his wide receiver crutch. A running back leans on the side he likes to run to. A play caller, if he's right-handed, we got a good right guard, right tackle, vice versa. We're going to run there most of the time. And you know what a play caller does when it gets to that cutting time? Does what he feels best with, and he loves to throw it. I don't care if it's McCarthy or Wentz. You got a backup quarterback that you need to protect, and you got a young guy you need to protect. What are we missing here? You got to run it. You got to commit to it. And if you don't against the Chargers, you're making a mistake because that's where you're going to have to live, and you're going to have to win on first down, or they will tee it up and get after you, and they will come at you with blitzes and pressures, I assure you.
Just so you can be sure of what I think you already know, that you're not wasting your time with us, I want to read you 2 texts that I received just within the last 5 minutes. The first is, Dan, Sean continues to deliver each and every appearance, brings a wealth of knowledge and depth. Keep these conversations rolling. And then this is from a regular guest on the program who happened to text me. Can you have Sean on every day? He is so on point. So you got the fans here, man. They're still behind you.
Well, I can tell you this. You know how much I love you and Guardsy. Even if they hated me, I'm forcing my way on with you because I love coming on with you. Secondly, I wouldn't want to muddy the water too much, but you know what? I can move to Minneapolis if you're looking for. I've given you a hard time. If there's room in the seat. But the truth is, you're much better without me. But I love having you on. I mean, I love being on with you, and I'm not. Trust me, as long as you'll have me, I'll be there. But I'm honored and I'm sure grateful that those great fans in Minnesota feel that way. It makes me happy, and I don't take it for granted one bit.
Enjoy the ball tonight. Congratulations on the reaching that grandfather status, and we'll talk next week. Thanks, man.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say one word, and I'll bet you the Vikings win tonight because that'd be probably poor timing, right? I'll talk to you, brother.
Be good. Thanks.
Have a good one, man. Thanks.
That is the one and only Sean Salisbury. We got to move kind of fast because it's predictions with Carl Gerbschmidt coming up. Peter Bursich from the belly of the Los Angeles Chargers beast. He will join at 4:30.